Hello everyone. I have trained a small LLM to 135 parameter model, and now I'm going to move that model to my Docker one, and I'm going to serve it. And I'm going to create another Docker which is called dockerfile.client, and I'm going to send a prompt from this Docker to my first Docker, which is dockerfile.server, and I'm going to fetch the results from it and show it back in my second Docker. So let's see how to do it. So these two Docker files are defined in docker compose.yml file. So here we can see dockerfile.server. This is my server. This is my Dockerfile one, and there's another Docker file called dockerfile.client, which is my Docker 2. So here, let's see what these two Docker files does. So my first Docker, it points to serve.py Python file. So what my first Docker does is it actually defines my model. So this is where my model parameters are defined, and it is actually going to fetch my saved model from this particular path. And then it process the prompt that is given in my Docker 2 and gets the result by passing it to the model, and then connects it with my Docker 1 and shows the result. So what is there in my Docker 2 is it points to a Python file called interactive-line.py. So when we come here, so this is where the prompt is given. So here it defines the prompt parameters, like the maximum length of the text that I need, in the minimum length, temperature, and top p value we can give it here. And this connects to my model server, which is my first Docker, and then fetches the results and then shows it here in my Docker 2. So let's see how to do this, the Docker commands. So previously I had used a Docker, so I'm just doing a Docker compose down, so which stops all the running Dockers. So here I'm going to Docker build the two Docker files. So this will actually fetch the Docker files that's present in docker compose.yml and builds these two Dockers for me. Basically, it um, installs all the packages that is required by these two Dockers. And then we need to start these two Dockers. So I'm starting my Docker 1, which is model.server, and I'm going to start my Docker 2 in the detached mode, that is in the background. And then I'm going to give this command which says it starts a container called client, and then I can give the prompt, say here, write a story about a brave knight. So after passing this prompt, this client container sends the request to my model server container, that is my Docker 1. And here I can also give the parameters that is required for the generated text. This model server processes the prompt and it generates the text, and it will send it back to my client Docker, and the client container prints the generated story into the terminal. So here we can see I have given the prompt, write a story about a brave knight, and this is the generated text. Since I have given maximum length is 512, so this will be of 512, and the temperature is 0.8. That is the um, uh, desired parameters for the generated text. Thank you.